Gypsy Rose Blanchard. She is a free woman and seemingly the talk of, well, the country right now, with the new documentary coming out on Lifetime detailing what happened to her over the last 8 years while she was behind bars, including what happened while she was under the care of her mother, Dede Blanchard, before her murder several years ago. Joining me to discuss the transition here into real life and her world going forward, John Delatorre. John, we're watching this, and I got to say, in a lot of ways, it feels like a train wreck, especially when we're talking about the relationship world that she seems to have entered herself into from behind bars. But there's a lot to dissect. Let's just start from the beginning here. What stands out to you when you've learned about this case and have seen the public's reaction thus far?
Well, I think I think people have a real kind of cognitive dissonance when it comes to this case because they see how uh, Gypsy's mother treated her, um, and they can kind of excuse away the murder because of how Gypsy was abused for so long in her life. So I certainly see the cognitive dissonance that's happening when it comes to this particular case and the notoriety that it's received. But I'm more concerned about um her overall well-being as she exits incarceration and moves into essentially pure and unadulterated freedom, something that she's never had before. And I think that there are aspects of manipulation on both sides, whether it's people manipulating her or her manipulating people, which clearly she's shown to do, right? That's part of the reason why she was in prison. So I think for her, for her, I would say that she's better off not anywhere near the spotlight.
Yeah.
But I don't know that she knows how to be in anything else other than in the spotlight.
And that's, I think, extremely true. I think everyone on the outside is, some people are watching this with delight, thinking, oh, she's found love and she's free. That's great. Everyone does deserve those sort of things. But you also need to be capable of receiving and giving them in a healthy way for it to work out. Otherwise, you're just creating more chaos in your life. Um, Obviously, she's her own woman now. She's 32 years old. She does have her parents who are there for her, her father back in her life, and the stepmom. I know all of them very apprehensive about her saying I do to anyone, very much thinking, well, let's just get you back into the world here. And then, those sort of things can happen as life goes on. But she certainly did what she wanted to do. Uh, with that being said, and the family was willing to just bring her in and take her and protect her, and then she found this relationship. I'm wondering how much of this relationship would be taking place or would have actually happened had there not been cameras following her around this whole last couple of years.
I don't know. It's hard to say because is it possible for someone to fall in love with someone over the course of letters and have a deep emotional, intimate connection with that person? Sure, it's possible. But my problem is in this specific case, when it comes to Gypsy, I don't know that she truly knows what a healthy, loving, and intimate relationship is supposed to be.
Hmm.
And you wonder then who is sort of, I don't want to say manipulating because that connotes that there's some kind of purposeful deviousness. And what I'm wondering is she in a position to truly recognize um when things aren't appropriate,
Hmm.
and is she capable of advocating for herself during those times that things are inappropriate? And I
Yeah.
don't know that she's capable of doing that.
Well, what I've been shocked by, and tell me if I'm off on this, but I felt so much of what we've learned about that relationship with her now husband just seemed extremely inappropriate. If someone were to come to me and tell me uh, that they watched the documentary of Mommy Dead and Dearest on HBO a few years ago and wanted to start writing to Gypsy Rose because you thought she was oh so cute, I would think there's something probably a little bit wrong with you because she was portrayed as a mentally and physically disabled child in that movie. I don't know how one walks away from that going, she's one I want to get with. It seemed very bizarre. And the fact that the husband was also a special needs teacher of children that have disabilities. Um, that to me just seemed insanely creepy. I mean, he ended up losing his job over it as well. And I think if I was a parent and I found out that if I had a special needs child and I was being taught by someone who also had a thing for Gypsy Rose, and you're with my kid, I'd be pulling my kids too. It just the optics of it are horrible, if not at least a sign that there's something very wrong going on here in terms of thinking and decision making on his part.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, you know, is it possible for him to see the human underneath Gypsy? Is it, could he be coming from a place that is healthy? I
Sure.
guess that's certainly possible. But when all of these other things kind of stack up, you, as an outsider, you start seeing a lot of yellow and red flags that are associated with this kind of interaction and this kind of relationship. And once again, you're left wondering who's who's like who's the one that can step out of this relationship and say, hey, things are not going well,
Hmm.
when I don't know that either one is really capable of doing that.
Yeah. One thing that came to mind was I had a conversation just the other night with my fiance about it. Maybe you can answer this question. She had brought it up of why isn't there like a conservatorship on Gypsy Rose? Almost the reference would be Britney Spears, who had it on her for so many years. If anyone could probably use one to help her get on track in life, I would think she'd be a prime candidate. But I don't know what the legal loopholes or the legal hoops one would have to go through to get a conservatorship on someone at this stage in life, with the situation that she was coming out of.
You'd have to show that that person is either persistently acutely disabled or gravely disabled. So in other words, they can't care for themselves.
Hmm.
And so uh no matter what state you're in, the loss of independency is uh, something that most courts won't do.
Hmm.
For the most part, judges want people to be as independent as possible for as long as possible, and there's nothing to suggest that Gypsy, now that she's no longer being abused,
Hmm.
there's nothing to suggest that she can't, count her own money or manage her own bank account or care for herself, right? There's nothing to suggest that. So anything that you would suggest, there's also no signs of mental illness either. So there's nothing to suggest that she can't care for herself. And people get manipulated all the time, and
Sure.
people manipulate other people all the time. And there's no need for a conservator in those cases either.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think one may look at the Britney situation and go, well, it worked there or it happened there. And I mean, not necessarily worked, but it happened there. Why not here? But again, an entirely different set of circumstances. What sort of pitfalls do you see ahead of Gypsy Rose as she tries to continue navigating life with this huge spotlight on top of her?
She needs to get away from the spotlight. I can't reiterate this enough. If she wants to live a healthy life, she has to get away from the spotlight. She has to stop doing interviews. She cannot be on social media. She can't do any of these things because she's too infamous. No
Hmm.
matter how you view her as a person and what she did and everything that's happened to her, she's infamous.
Hmm.
And she's never going to get away from that. If she wants to live a happy and healthy life, if she wants to have a committed relationship with this person that she's married to, she can't have the scrutiny of the spotlight. There's too much pressure associated with constantly having your face in front of a camera. And there's no way that she's going to be able to live up to whatever standard social media and regular media has for her. And so the, there the bottom's going to drop out. The other shoe's going to fall in this case. And I don't know if that means that there's another murder or something like that, but something bad is going to happen in her life again.
Yeah.
And now this time the world really will be watching.
Hey, it's Tony Brueski. If you like the podcast, be sure to like, subscribe, and press that bell so you don't miss any of our updates on the cases we're following for you right here at the Hidden Killers podcast from True Crime Today. And thanks